they brought or sold to us. They said, all right, with Raila on the other side, we will have maandamano every day, and it's not going to be a peaceful nation. There's not going to be security. We'll continue to talk about issues of insecurity. Do you suppose it's actually doing that?
The public perception that is out there right now is that these guys aren't doing anything. But let us be pragmatic here and speak candidly. There are very many things that our security agencies do that we are not getting, you don't get to be told.
Right.
A lot of successes out there that you don't get to be told. But when they fail, that comes the limelight, and we're able to we judge them from that particular perspective. Not quite fair, but also we're telling them, the security agencies, we need peace, so they need to work extra. Particularly our intelligence section. They are very good, I've got a lot of resources, they've got a very huge budget, they need to convert that into action, preventative action, that goes a long way in establishing Kenya as the most peaceful nation around Africa. There. When you come to this broad-based government, I don't know how I would judge them. But I want to say that over a very short period of time, we have seen that some of the threats in our nation materializing. One of the threats in our nation is terrorism and violent crime. We have seen in the last 4 months, in terms of frequency, a very high frequency, in terms of severity, a very high severity, because we've lost 2 lives, right? Almost the same methodologies. So what are we telling ourselves? We're telling ourselves that a lot of things need to be done for us to quell these kind of things. We have seen there's been a very huge call for us to use electronic security, CCTV, because cameras don't lie. If you look at the case that my chairman has mentioned for the deceased, Weri Ongondo, the DCI did very well. In the case of Mbobu, the deceased brother, they equally did well. But at the back end of it, there is always that burden that will drag you not to accomplish your mission well, because there are other lagging factors, dragging indicators that will stop you from doing that, all right? That's why I'm a very pragmatic campaigner and a proponent that if Kenya can be the first nation in the globe to find a solution to delink politics from security, probably we'll find our answer. But globally, politics and security are quite intertwined. And I'm praying that my country could be the first country in the world that can find that solution to link these two and to see how our security apparatus would operate. Well,
until then, we are staring at 2027 politics. And I mean, we have begun seeing the kind of talks that, are being uttered around. Some you would want to call intolerance. Talks of intolerance, hate speech, what you would actually label it. But there's quite been trouble trying to identify what is hate speech and what is not. Sometimes you have this on the dock, the next time they're out, because it's quite difficult to, substantiate that this would be hate speech. Perhaps we need to remind ourselves of the cost of political instability. If we're going to talk about investor confidence, and even exit, because some have exited because of that. If we're going to talk about terrorists themselves actually taking advantage of the political situation to camouflage and come in and attack. And just generally, how we become unstable. Looking at the political situation. And it's even worse when you're looking at leaders that are actually saying the current leadership is not good. And you look at the others and you probably do not see any element of hope in terms of bringing security.
First of all, let me address a point that was discussed earlier. I lived in the United States for 12.5 years. My security training came from there. Actually, not just training, experience. I managed security for one of the top, largest cities in there. At the fundamental, when the crux of the matter when the rubber meets the road is that from a leadership perspective, a good leader should be able to influence. We may not be key players in terms of resources and all that, but a good leader is able to strategically position themselves. Again, I reiterate the fact that if we can get ourselves a seat at the United Nations Security Council, if we can get ourselves to be major non-NATO ally designation, our brothers here, they hold a contrarian view. And it's a correct view about this Haiti situation, and because they're approaching it from a very well-informed position of how it enables us to position ourselves better in terms of influence, in terms of being a key player in the game, in terms of even being willing to do operations that others are not willing to do. So leadership is key. Now, to your question, the Kenyan citizen, we've talked a lot about the role of the government and the security agencies. Now let's address the big white fat elephant in the room. room, and that's a Kenyan citizen. From a leadership point of view, the Kenyan citizen is the board of directors. They are the shareholders who decide who's going to become the executive. The management of the company is in their hands. And we have a very lackadaisical approach to electing leaders. And you mentioned it. We are seeing those approaches. Let me mention one thing.